Call Ian Lees-Galloway.
Thank you very much, Mr Speaker. It's a pleasure to be back in the House, even if I was being interrupted by the senior government whip at the time that you called me. Mr Speaker, can I join other colleagues in acknowledging your re-election to your role as Assistant Speaker, also your new colleague Trevor Mallard, who are all very excited to see the poacher turned gamekeeper, and also Chester Burrows and the re-election of the Honourable David Carter as Speaker. We look forward to working alongside you, and for those returning presiding officers, we look forward to your continued fair and firm presidence over this House. Sir, it is a pleasure to be back in this House representing the fine city of Palmerston North. It was a mighty challenge at election time. The National Party threw everything they had at us. You could see the money swimming around our electorate. They chose the best candidate they could, and they put an enormous effort into taking Palmerston North. And look, this isn't new for me, sir. At every election, my demise has been predicted by iPredict and various other pundits out there, and yet I keep coming back, and it's very, very pleasing to be back here, sir. I'd like to thank the voters of Palmerston North for continuing their confidence in me to be their representative, to be their strong voice here in Parliament, and I'd also like to thank and acknowledge the hundreds of people who work so very hard on our campaign in Palmerston North. We're very pleased that with the party vote result we managed to get in the circumstances. We are very pleased with the contribution we made to the party votes that Labor did get across the country, and we're also very pleased to be able to hold the seat. Sir, although Palmerston North chose to elect a Labor Member of Parliament to be their representative here, sir, they have very, very high expectations of this government, because now more than ever, the city of Palmerston North desperately needs a government that is going to work in their interests and which is going to support them to play to their strengths. Sir, today, just this very day, we had new data out that spells out some of the concerns that Palmerston North has to face. Sir, in the year to September 2014, there has been an increase in the number of people receiving the job seeker benefit in Palmerston North of 6.6%. So whilst this government may be pleased with its efforts to reduce the number of people on the job seeker benefit by 2.6% across the country, although some of us, those of us on this side of the House are dubious about whether or not those people are going from being on a benefit to actually being in work, the truth is that in my city, sir, there has been an increase over the last year of the number of people stuck on the unemployment benefit. Sir, there was a 9% increase in the number of 18 to 24-year-olds on the unemployment benefit. And there was an 11% increase in the number of 25 to 39-year-olds on the unemployment benefit in my city. And overall, there was an increase by just 0.7%, but an increase nevertheless in the total number of people receiving a benefit in my region, and that compares with a 3.3% decline across the country. Sir, my province, Manawatu, my city, Palmerston North, like many provinces around the country, is being left behind by this government. The economic growth that may or may not be occurring across the country is certainly not being felt in my electorate. And I hear Ian McKelvey interjecting, but Mr McKelvey, the stats don't lie. You should be standing up for your region as well, because the picture is not pretty in the Rangitikei either. We are being left behind by this government. Now more than ever, we need a government that really is working for the provinces. We need a government that has a real plan. Sir, because when you walk around my city right now, what you see is empty land where there used to be houses, empty land where there used to be businesses, and empty shops where there used to be a thriving retail sector. That is the truth. That is what is happening in my city right now. We need this government to work much harder for the provinces than what it is right now. But what does this government have in plan for my city? Well, right at the top of their plan is to reduce the number of state houses we have by 500. Right now, right this very day, more houses have been torn down in Palmerston North, and there is no plan at all to replace those state houses. 7 years ago, houses were removed from Botanical Road. They've never been replaced by this government. Recently, last year, houses were removed from Rugby Street. There's no plan for that empty land. And now there are at least 4 different locations around the city where this government plans to tear down houses and has absolutely no plan for what to do with that land. Well, we all know what they are thinking. That land is going to be sold off and those houses will never be replaced. That is this government's plan for state and social housing in my city. And that's not what my constituents want. I heard it loud and clear through the election campaign that we need social housing in our city. There is a need. Homelessness is real. There are people living in garages. There are people relying on their parents to look after them and their children and their grandchildren. There are people who have no home, no place to call home, but rely on friends. They couch surf from one friend to another. That's what housing insecurity looks like. And that's why we need a decent state house provision to ensure that people who are in desperate need of accommodation can turn to the state, can turn to their community in their time of need and know that they will have a roof put over their head. But what is this government doing for my city? Their plan is to reduce the amount of state and social housing that we have by 500. And they have no plan for one of our biggest state assets, one of our most important assets. Regardless of what you think about the need to provide social housing, why on earth would you leave land sitting empty year after year? Why would you leave houses sitting empty? Why would this government, sir, leave houses sitting empty for the windows to be broken, for the hot water cylinders to be raided, for the copper ore to be stolen, for that asset to be run down when this government is supposed to be the government of sound economic management? It just doesn't make sense, sir. Now, in some of the parts of my city that have been most affected by this removal and destruction of state houses, we have another serious concern, and that is access to primary health care, sir. Because it is as true in my electorate as it is in just about any other electorate around the country, that those most impoverished areas, those most in need of access to primary health care, have the least provision. So, sir, it is my goal, my aim, to see in the suburbs of Highbury and the suburb of Roslyn integrated primary health care services located in those suburbs, because those are the places that need them most. Yet we are seeing integrated primary health care being developed in the areas that already have the most health provision. And Highbury continues to be overlooked. Roslyn continues to be overlooked. So, sir, it is my aim, and I'm happy to work across the House to make this happen, to see integrated primary health services provided to those in my electorate who need them the most. Sir, there is one other aim that I want to talk about tonight, and that is around the environment. We all know the stories about the Manawatu River. We all know that it desperately needs to be cleaned up. We need to set standards, sir, in this Parliament that actually ensure that our waterways will not be degraded further and that they will be cleaned up over the next generation. Jackie Dean says that they already do. No, Jackie Dean, the standards have been set so that water that is perfectly clean right now could actually be degraded under the standards set by this government. So this government has actually said that they want to set standards that will allow water to be degraded. Sir, I am sick and tired of hearing about this false dichotomy between the economy and the environment. Our economy is built on our environment, and saving our environment is not about saving the planet. It is about making sure that there are jobs and that there is a lifestyle and that we can grow food and that people can live well into the future, not about raping and pillaging our planet now so that future generations haven't got the opportunity to live the life that we take for granted. Sir, those are the challenges ahead of us. That's what my constituents expect from this government, and that's what I'm going to be pressing them for over this term of Parliament.
I call the Honourable Craig Foss.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And the previous speaker obviously has a prophecy